companies. I hope you're all doing well. Tonight I'm going to read you some facts about lawsuits and court cases. Hopefully you'll find them interesting and they'll help you get some sleep. In 2010, Bank of America wrongfully foreclosed a couple in Naples, Florida, who sued and won a judgment for $2,500 in legal expenses. When Bank of America decided to not pay the couple, they showed up at the bank with the moving company, a deputy, and a writ, allowing them to start seizing furniture and cash. Sony once sued itself. RIAA, partially controlled by Sony Music, sued Launch.com, owned by Sony's Tech and Business Unit, meaning that the music department somehow sued its tech department. The Cult Awareness Network listed Scientology as the #1 most dangerous cult. Scientologists sued them into bankruptcy and now own the new Cult Awareness Network. In 1956, Kenneth Donaldson was kept in a state mental hospital against his will for 15 years. He sued the state for his loss of liberty. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court and marked the beginning of deinstitutionalization of mental asylums in the US. Petroleum companies have rights to most of the battery patents and sue anyone who uses them with gag orders. In 1996, Oprah Winfrey was sued for causing $11 million in damage to cattle farmers simply for mentioning that she would not eat another burger after a show about mad cow disease. Jonathan Lee Riches got the Guinness World Record for having filed the highest number of lawsuits in the world. When he heard of this, he sued the Guinness Book of World Records to remove his name. A company called the North Face Clothing Company once sued a clothing company called the South Butt for its name. The movie behind Enemy Lines was backward. The downed pilot was rescued with full NATO cooperation and was in fact put in danger by US General releasing information to the press. The pilot sued Fox over the movie and they settled out of court. Until being sued in 2008, the Mexican subsidiary of Walmart paid their employees in-store vouchers that they could only use at Walmart. Neil Armstrong once sued his barber of 20 years after he sold his hair to a collector for $3,000. After The Lion King was released, a hyena biologist sued Disney for portraying hyenas as villains. The bully from the song Brain Damage by Eminem actually sued him for using his real name. The judge delivered the ruling of the case in the form of a rap. Harry Houdini once sued a police officer who accused him of making his escapes via bribery. He won his case by opening the judge's safe. In 1986, a woman who sought psychiatric help discovered memories of being in a satanic cult where she was forcibly raped, had to eat babies, and as a consequence developed 120 different personalities to cope. The memories were later found to be false, and the therapist was sued. Apple used Carl Sagan as a codename for a computer in the 1990s. Carl Sagan sent Apple a cease and desist letter, and Apple changed the name to Butthead Astronomer. Carl Sagan sued for libel and lost, and Apple changed the name to Liars Are Wimps. The United States gave asylum to Nazi war criminals for decades and then tried to cover it up until they were sued under the Freedom of Information Act. In 2011, a man was hit by a metro train going 70 miles per hour in Chicago, and his flying body parts injured a woman. She sued his estate on the theory that if you do something as stupid as this guy did, you have to be responsible for what comes from it. In 2000, Walmart was sued 4,851 times, about once every 2 hours. Tom Waits always refuses to give rights for his songs and ads, and successfully sued many companies who hired impersonators to sing similar songs in order to bypass his consent. Stan Lee, who worked for Marvel as a writer for hire, sued Marvel because he was hurt by Marvel Comics' decision to keep profits from him over his 60 years with the company. Evel Knievel sued Kanye West over damage to his reputation from the Touch the Sky music video. A kidnapper sued a couple he kidnapped for breaking their oral contract to hide him from the police if he let them go. I'm really wondering how true a lot of these are. They're interesting though. Bayer Pharmaceutical knowingly shipped out HIV-tainted blood transfusions to haemophiliacs in countries such as France, Spain and Japan during the 1980s. They eventually paid millions out in lawsuits, but no Bayer executive was ever charged with the crime. In the 1970s, General Mills sued an economics professor for making a parody game called Anti-Monopoly, but the suit was drawn out because it was discovered that Monopoly was a rip-off of a board game first developed in 1903 called The Landlord's Game. Sacha Baron Cohen received a letter from a liar saying he was being sued for $100,000 for his role in Borat. The liar added, P.S. Love the movie. Can you sign a poster for my son Jeremy? In 1977, Tom Waits successfully sued the LAPD for $7,500 after being arrested for arguing with undercover cops about a guy cutting in line. The woman who sued McDonald's for their coffee being hot had a legitimate case for medical expenses and was awarded the rest of her money because McDonald's ignored 700 other coffee-related injuries. In China, the hero pays for their action. If you help someone, you assume responsibility and are at risk of being sued. 4 women sued the Girls Gone Wild series for distress. An all-female jury drew out the case. Robert Lee Brock was a prisoner in Virginia in 1995. One day he decided to be removed from prison so he could enter a mental institution. To make this happen, he decided to sue himself for $50 million, claiming that he committed a crime while he was drunk. In the end, the case was dismissed and he failed to get his transfer. In 1999, a man named Daniel Jukes got killed by a whale at SeaWorld. To achieve his lifelong dream of swimming with a whale, he hid himself from the security guards of SeaWorld so he could stay at the park after closing. After his death, his parents sued SeaWorld on display public warnings that the whale could actually kill people. Seriously. A 27-year-old man from New York sued Subway after he took a bite of his sandwich and found a knife in its bread. He sued Subway for $1 million because of food poisoning, which he said he had gotten from the filthy plastic handle of the knife. Christopher Roller sued David Blaine and David Copperfield for defying the laws of physics, and even demanded them to reveal their magic tricks to him. He also believed that the two magicians were using godly powers, and because he believed he was God, it was his powers that the magicians were stealing. A cop named Macreta Patterson was trying on a new thong when the tight fit caused a metal clip from the thong to fly off and hit her eye. She filed a case against Victoria's Secret on June 9th, 2008. A group of PETA volunteers had just attended an anti-hunt protest to defend the rights of deer to live. After the protest, 2 members of the group hit a deer. Ironically, PETA sued the New Jersey Division of Fish and Wildlife for the damage caused, saying that it was all because of its deer management program, which involved efforts to increase deer population. Most people understand that weather reports are not 100% accurate. Unfortunately, this was never the case for an Israeli woman who filed a case against a TV station for its wrong weather prediction. According to her, the TV station predicted that the weather was going to be fine, but it rained, and because she dressed lightly, she got a flu. In 1992, an Albuquerque woman bought a coffee from a McDonald's drive-thru. She wanted to add cream and sugar to her drink, so she placed the cup in between her knees. She pulled the lid off the cup towards her, and as a result, the coffee spilled onto her lap. She blamed McDonald's for the incident, saying that the restaurants were serving coffee that was too hot to be safe. That's probably the one from the previous fact. Richard Overton complained that the advertisements of Anheuser-Busch, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, were misleading as they involved fantasies of beautiful women coming to life as men drove a Bud Light truck. The complaint said he suffered emotional distress and mental injury because of the false ads. The case was later dismissed by court. Patsy Ann Byers was left paralysed in 1995 after Sarah Edmondson and Benjamin Darris went on a crime spree after watching Natural Born Killers. This led the family of Byers to file a case against the makers of the movie, including Oliver Stone and Warner Brothers. In 2000, a man named Cleante Peters filed a $14,000 case against Universal Studios, claiming that he suffered extreme fear and mental stress after visiting the Halloween Horror Nights haunted house of Universal Studios, which he found too scary. In 2001, Linda Sanders and other family members of the victims in the Columbine High School massacre sued 25 makers of video games, claiming that if it were not for their creations, the massacre would not have occurred. In the end, the plaintiffs were ordered to compensate the video game makers for their legal fees. In 2002, a man named Edward Brewer filed a $2 million case against Providence Hospital, saying that its security failed to prevent him from committing rape against one of its patients. Oh, Jesus, these these are all made up. In the past, a man named Peter Wallace divorced his wife and did not want to pay compensation. He sued her on grounds of sperm theft, saying that she did not tell him she was using, or did she? She did not tell him that she was not using birth control pills. Cara Walton wanted to enter a certain nightclub through its toilet window so she would not have to pay the $3.50 entrance fee. As a result, she fell down on the floor and knocked out her 2 front teeth. In the end, she was awarded $12,000 and got all of her dental expenses paid. Wow. A lawyer from South California sued GTE California after his name was listed in its GTE Yellow Pages directory under the heading Reptiles. He sought damages in excess of $100,000 and claimed that the incident caused him to become the target of bad jokes and rude telephone calls. A woman named Kathy McGowan from the United States won a local radio competition after answering a question on Radio Buxton Right. The local radio said that she was going to get a Renault Clio as a prize, but when she arrived at the radio station, she only got a toy car. She filed a case against the radio station, and the latter was ordered to pay her $28,000. Well, that's fair enough. Kathy Kelly, a diabetic patient, sued the city of Minnesota after she slipped on the Canal Park's fountain, sustained a laceration to her left lower shin, and had her gut infected due to diabetes. Her fall was caused by a detergent dumped by a prankster into the fountain 4 hours earlier. In the end, she was awarded $125,000, and her $43,000 medical expenses were paid by the other party. In 2009, Trina Thompson of New York filed a $72,000 case against her alma mater, Monroe College, after she was unable to find a decent job months after completing her bachelor's degree in information technology. She sought to recoup the $70,000 she had spent in her tuition from her school. While trespassing on private property, Jeffrey Klein and Brett Birdwell got themselves burned after they touched an uninsulated wire. The 2 teenagers sued the owner of the house and received a combined $24.2 million after the trial. So that's it for me. Some of those facts were absolutely insane, and I'm starting to question how true any of them were. But look, they were interesting and fun, some of them. So I'll talk to you soon. Sweet dreams.